lost engine number 2.
High above the Mediterranean, two pilots struggle with a stalled engine.
Engine relights. Negative.
Stop. Engine 1 is flamed out.
45 miles from land, the pilots make a difficult decision.
Prepare to ditch. Oh my God, be merciful.
Passengers are forced to make life or death decisions on their own.
Do nothing save your best!
The accident will tear families apart, set in motion a massive rescue effort at sea, and trigger a multinational investigation to discover why both engines on one of the world's most popular planes stopped in mid-flight. August the 6th, 2005, Bari, Italy. An ancient port town on the Adriatic Sea, where the past meets the present. Just north of this historic city, Bari International Airport serves 10 major airlines and more than 1.5 million passengers each year. One of those carriers is Tunisia's Tuninter Airlines. Captain Shafiq Garbi is a pilot with Tuninter. Today he's in command of Flight 1153. The 45-year-old Tunisian is a military-trained pilot with a flawless flight record. Garbi's co-pilot is 28-year-old Ali Kabair.
How much fuel are you adding?
400 kilograms.
2,700 total?
Yes.
Captain Garbi and his co-pilot flew from Tunis to Bari this morning to collect 34 Italian passengers. Now they're going to fly them to Jerba, a Tunisian resort island. Among the passengers is 31-year-old police officer Luca Squicciarini. His girlfriend Paola is traveling with him.
Our first choice wasn't Jerba, it was Cape Verde. The thing with Cape Verde is that it was a period of terrorist activities. The flight would have left from either Rome or Milan. Since they are two large airports, Paola was afraid that there would be an attack, so we chose not to go to Cape Verde. It was my first trip with Paola. We met the previous winter. We had plans to marry the following year.
To tighten your belt, pull on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. Ladies and gentlemen, your life vests are located beneath your seats. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord, only when you're leaving the aircraft. If you need to refill the vest, blow into the mouthpiece.
Yes, LBB, flight 1153. Permission for takeoff granted.
Roger that. Clear for takeoff. Final prep for departure.
The crew is flying a French-made ATR-72. The small turboprop is perfect for short flights. It doesn't need a lot of maintenance or guzzle a lot of fuel. Just after 2:30 in the afternoon, the plane takes off. 49 minutes after takeoff, Flight 1153 is 400 miles away from its destination, Jerba.
So we started chatting with other passengers. We were all excited. We talked about the vacation.
Then, 75 miles from the nearest land, and 23,000 feet above the sea, the plane's right engine stops working.
We've lost engine number 2. Let's get to 17,000 feet.
TUI 1153, request 170.
TUI
Captain Garbi begins an emergency descent.
Sending 170.
When you have a single engine flameout, you would descend down to a lower altitude, the air is thicker, the propeller is more efficient.
Under current conditions, the ATR-72 can best fly on one engine at an altitude of 17,000 feet.
Power lever, flight idle, start button.
The crew struggles to restart the right engine.
Negative. Check.
But then, less than 2 minutes after the first engine quits,
Stop! Stop. Engine number 1 is flamed out.
both of the plane's engines have stopped.
Si è spento inizialmente il motore destro.
The engine shut off.
Inizialmente pensavamo fosse addirittura un
Our first
attentato,
thought was of a terrorist attack, since there were so many at the time. We tried to figure out what was happening, so we looked towards the cockpit to see if someone was trying to sabotage the plane.
Se qualcuno voleva sabotare l'aereo.
The plane is now falling to the sea at 800 feet per minute.
Mayday! 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 DUI 1153. We have lost both engines. Request immediate landing at Palermo.
The crew still hopes to reach an airport, but they have 70 miles of ocean to cross before they're over land. Crews are trained for almost anything. There's a checklist for them to follow to solve most problems, including what to do when both engines die.
Both engines flame out checklist. Fuel supply, check.
The pilots don't know why their engines have stopped. The only clue they're getting is a low fuel feed warning.
A low pressure warning light tells the pilot that there's low fuel pressure going to the engine. Now that could be a mechanical problem, or that could be a contamination problem.
The crew follows the steps laid out by the manufacturer to relight their dead engines.
Fuel supply, check. Power lever, flight idle. Start button. Engine relight. Negative.
Get Shokri.
The captain asks the cabin crew to bring the onboard engineer, Shokri Habui, to the cockpit.
Palermo approach. This is TUI 1153. We have lost both engines. Request immediate landing.
The closest airport is in Palermo, on the Italian island of Sicily.
TUI 1153, Palermo. Affirmative, you are clear for landing.
Palermo approach. What is our distance to the airport?
Your distance to Palermo is now 48 nautical miles.
An ATR-72 will fall from the sky at a predictable rate. 1 foot down for every 16 feet forward. 48 nautical miles is further than the plane can glide.
I don't think we're going to make it.
If they can't restart their engines soon, they'll be forced to ditch in the sea.
Ditching at sea is a very difficult decision to make because it's the hardest thing to do. You have swells, waves, wind. Is anybody going to see you? How long can the plane float for?
Landing a passenger plane on water is extremely dangerous. In 1996, an Ethiopian Airlines pilot was forced to bring his 767 down on the Indian Ocean. The ditching was recorded by a tourist on a nearby beach. 50 people survived, but 125 people died. The crew of this small plane doesn't usually include an engineer. When there is one on board, he usually travels in the cabin.
I remembered this person looked at the stewardess and shook his head as if saying no after the second engine had shut off.
Per cui allo spegnimento di tutti e due i motori. Per cui lì ho capito che stava cercando di fare qualcosa per
That gesture showed there was nothing left to do.
far funzionare questo aereo, però mi sa.
The crew of Flight 1153 has tried all it can. They're running out of time and options. Flight engineer Shokri Habui has joined in the struggle to get Flight 1153's engines started.